podcast where we harken back to our college debate days and Hadouken or Judo chop your way into the next best competitor. This week's episode, if you haven't guessed, is based on martial arts movies with Enter the Dragon, Stephen, that's you, and Bloodsport. That's pretty much collectively the three of us versus each other. And hopefully this week we'll have a lot less plot chatter and more film banter. We are Seen Weekly. And welcome, Professor, and welcome, Andy, to our world.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Jonathan, to have me here.
We're excited to have you. Yeah,
I appreciate it. My name is Chris. Okay, I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Here teaching here in New York, Long Island. Here with my two students.
That's right. You look like you have maybe taken Enter the Dragon, very personally.
Oh yeah. Now it's Halloween season, right? I have my outfit. Thanks, Jonathan. Got me the Enter the Dragon outfit.
It looks great. Looks great.
I couldn't find it. I want to be the Afro man.
Yeah, so Stephen, we all know this, but we are his student. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Andy's actually at the gym. He's a blue belt, and I'm just a low man on the totem pole.
With 3 stripes.
You got 3 stripes. There you go.
So frankly, we know us, but we've talked about this ad nauseum on the podcast of you, Stephen. What is it? American Ninja Jitsu Karate?
Okay, yeah, you can't.
Hawaii it doesn't actually exist. It's literally like Frank Dux's ninjutsu. Like it doesn't exist.
It existed, and I took probably a year and a half of karate classes. It's called Okinawa American Ryu Karate, and it was when I was living in Hawaii. As a kid in the 90s,
Did it come with a can of Spam? Is it like something you bought like with your magazine and like 3 ninja stars?
Hey, I got an orange belt out of it if you can't see it here. So I got pretty high up there,
I don't think orange belts exist in any other. Do they? Orange belts?
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Yeah, you're going to be the quintessential person to answer all the questions. You're the Google of martial arts.
So, in your martial arts, what orange belt? What rank is that? How far into the?
It's honestly not. It's not that far. Honestly, it goes from what I recollect: white belt with a red stripe, yellow belt. I think it was blue and then orange, or purple and then orange. I can't.
That's actually pretty far. Yeah.
But I think
they gave you a multitude of those. That's shocking. I mean, that makes sense with the fake karate that you've been taking. Like everyone just getting belts. Did you also get pins and some
No, but I got sais. I got nunchucks. I learned how to do things with that. Yeah, they're right here. There.
Oh, let's go.
That. Yeah.
By the way, you look blurry. I don't know if it's your Wi-Fi, but it may be like you're knocking us out prematurely. Who knows?
Well, I am outmatched here 3-1. So
yeah.
What can you do?
So anyway, thank you guys for coming.
Oh, good.
Doing martial arts movies. You're the expert. We're trying to figure it out. I don't know, Stephen, what the hell you are. I think we should go with Into the Dragon first, because Bloodsport to me, after watching it the first time in
first time watching Bloodsport?
No. And it's been 10 years, maybe.
Well, I'm just curious to get a brief rundown of how each of you got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kind of your journey there.
I mean, you're first.
Okay, so I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 15 years old, back home. I recently changed of a high school to another high school, so the new high school that I was going, everybody was match up fight, because it was the UFC deal, so they were looking okay, you fight with this guy, you fight with the other guy, so I should be ready. And I have a few friends that already train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I was more looking for MMA, the Jiu-Jitsu, but my professor pushed me to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I love it, and still training. So
that's awesome.
That's my story. Yeah. And you, Andy?
So I started martial arts as a kid. My father put me into Taekwondo. So I can appreciate the orange belt. I think we had an orange belt in there somewhere as well along the path. And I did that all the way from age 7, probably till about 14. It was once or twice a week only, but it was, we committed all those years. He would take me every Saturday and Sunday down to the YMCA and take classes. And I got my black belt, which is I had made that commitment to him.
Yeah.
I said, because I wanted to quit all the whole way. And he was like, you have to at least get the black belt. I'm like, all right, I'll commit to that. And literally, like, to the day I got the black belt, I never took another class again. I was like, I promised you I'd get the black belt.
I'm done.
And I don't think I took a class after that. Man, I got my black belt, and that was it. And then took years off and never did anything else. Had a really good childhood friend. I mean, we're still friends to this day. My friend Damien tells me, hey, you know, I'm doing this thing called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which, I mean, at the time already I knew what it was. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know. The appeal is not there. It's just rolling around on the floor with guys. I'm like, I don't know what you see in this. I'm like, but it's not for me. And he must have tried to talk me into it probably 5 years at least.
Wow.
I mean, he was persistent. And I did take one class with him. Finally, after like 4 years, I took a class at whatever school he was at the time. And the instructor, my friend, gave him a little background. He's like, oh, yeah, my friend did Taekwondo. He's a black belt. And I think the instructor took that as a challenge to like beat me up. And he went so hard on my intro class that I never went back. I was like, no, this guy's like, he's crazy. And then I took another 2 years. It took him another 2 years to convince me to go back. Finally, the year before COVID, I committed. I said, all right, let's go. I'm going to go to your school. I went. I loved it. I fell in love with it like instantly. I'm like, oh, I wish I would have started years ago.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. And then I stopped. Then life got in the way. And then I finally got back into it when I moved out here. And I found East Coast. And I'm so happy I did because, I mean, you know the addiction.
Yeah.
Once you start.
The flu. You've got the flu.
True.
Yeah.
It's like a virus.
And
All right, Jonathan, how did you get into it?
Karate, Haruka, Ken, midget. I don't even know what it is. Karate. But yeah, I mean, for a long period of time, I was watching the UFC since 98, I think was the first fight I saw. And Vanderlei Silva versus Vitor Belfort. So I think that was in 98. That was pretty much, I was like, what is going on? What is this? So fairly addicted to the UFC, but almost immediately just delved into as much as I possibly could. Just MMA generally speaking. But I definitely was transfixed at, like, what the hell is going on the ground? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, just like minor details of things being moved and like drastic things happening, like people getting choked out or, you know, tapping. And I was like, that seems very interesting to me. You know this. We competed competitively in running. He was also a runner for our college. And so I just didn't want to get injured. I never, I wanted to always do it since then, but I've always put it off. Finally, Uzair, a friend of mine who's a purple belt now, I think I've told you about him. Yeah. You know him. And so he has just been incessantly for like 5 years, like his 6 year journey of like, you can tap out, like you can control the situations that you're in. Like you're not going to get injured unless you want to actually get injured. You can roll with the right people. And I was like, yeah, that's just not going to happen. Like somebody's going to go crazy and, you know, single leg. I don't know. I was afraid. And then I was like, fuck it. I'll sign my daughter up as I did. And then a month later I signed up because I was like, I need to stop being a pussy. Like, you're not going to just sit here and not learn for the rest of your life. You've been super interested. I've been watching BJJ for like 2 decades. So I finally took a stab, and then it becomes addictive where I'm going like 5 days a week now. But I'm this weird tug of war between BJJ and running. It's very difficult managing the process. It's hard.
Yeah, I bet. And you had a near scare earlier this week, from what I heard.
Yeah. I thought I broke a toe. Went to the doctor, and he was like, basically calling me a pussy. He was like, "There's nothing wrong with this." And I was like, "No, you just put it back into place." It was
Did he give you a little Hello Kitty
They get a lollipop after that. Go out, you'll be okay.
So all of my fears came to a head after that. I was like, this is the whole reason I did not want to do this. I was like, I don't want to. I was really like, it was fucking with my head a little bit. But then it got into place, and I was like, oh, I feel great again. I'm going to go back tomorrow. Like literally. So, yeah. And what about your karate? Was it taekwondo or some judo? What was it again?
Okinawa American Ryu. I took it just briefly. I guess I didn't catch the bug, but I've toyed with the idea of going back. I just haven't found the. Well, I guess I just keep making excuses. You know.
Yeah. Well, they probably don't offer it anymore because one guy's shop doesn't exist elsewhere.
That's true. I don't think my orange belt carries over to any other kind of martial arts discipline.
I think I got to show up in your gi now to the nearest karate dojo and be like,
with the nunchucks.
Yeah, with the nunchucks ready to go.
Challenge the main sensei.
Yeah, just be like, I'm going to take over this dojo. Who do I challenge?
I'm here for the intro class, sensei.
Definitely videotape it.
Yeah.
Definitely videotape it so we can edit it into this podcast.
Right. That would make a good movie.
Yes. Have you guys seen Enter the Dragon before this?
No.
Oh, nice.
No,
nice.
So this was the first time I ever... Bloodsport, a million times.
Yeah.
Enter the Dragon, never.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, wow. What about you?
I say clips only. But...
Yeah. Steven?
Yeah, this is, Bloodsport many times, just like Andy. But Enter the Dragon, first time watch.
Wow.
How is this possible?
It's not... I like martial arts films. I like action films. It's never been on my kind of radar. And I know this is like Enter the Dragon is like the inspiration for so much from, action martial arts movies to video games to like Quentin Tarantino. Like it inspired him in obvious ways from like Kill Bill and things like that. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my watch this time.
You just don't like Asians. Is that it?
Asian movies.
That's
not true. That's not true.
Three of us have never seen it. Yet this movie, everything I read about it, it was just built up to how this was transformational for martial arts in the West, how it brought into the mainstream. But besides here, out of my close personal friends, I don't think any of them have ever seen it either.
They just see like the remnants of what it influenced, basically. Yeah, that's fair. It's interesting. I saw it probably 20 years ago, probably when I first met you, Stephen, and then I haven't seen it since. So it was basically like a first watch for me.
Yeah, and let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Enter the Dragon. I'm going to just give some brief facts and a little summary so everybody knows what we're talking about. 1973, directed by Robert Klaus, obviously starring Bruce Lee, his final film appearance before his sudden death, John Saxon and Jim Kelly. And it was cast to appeal to the widest audience possible. So they got a Chinese guy, a black guy, a white guy. And it definitely did appeal to the widest audience. It was an $850,000 budget. And over the course of, I guess, since it's been released and, re-released in theaters, $400 million all time, which would be like $2 billion in today's dollars. Rotten Tomatoes, 88%. And this is the plot. Bruce Lee stars as a total martial arts badass who's recruited to enter a high-stakes kung fu tournament on a remote island. His mission is to take down the shady, claw-handed crime lord Han, who's using the tournament as a front for drugs and other villainy. Along the way, Bruce kicks, punches, and philosophizes his way through waves of henchmen, teams up with a smooth-talking American gambler, and delivers some of the most iconic smackdowns ever filmed. Oh, and there's a Hall of Mirrors because fighting a villain in a trippy funhouse is just what the movie needed. So yeah, this is an iconic film.
True.
Yeah, the trippy mirrors are fantastic. By the way, like one of my favorite scenes. Not to get immediately to the end of it, but like that, it's like
iconic. Yeah.
Point at the end. Yeah.
But yeah, pretty simple. Pretty simple plot.
Where is he? Just break them all. So your first watch.
Yeah.
What did you think of just the general nature of it? And
like for me, what I can say, like with the martial art, the cool part was the beginning because they start from the Valley Todo with the gloves. That's the original gloves that MMA fighters should use it right now, but they change with the time. I like it. I like it a lot, like how they express the martial art. But more than that, it's more like choreography. You can say they're like jumping, not in a way not realistic, but at the same time realistic way too. But I love it. Like I think it's Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan is there right too.
Yep.
When he was young.
He's a small part in it. Yeah.
Oh, wow, I had no idea.
Let's go, man.
It doesn't come out on camera, I don't think. It's just a stunt double.
Got it.
He doesn't get the credit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I know that. I realized that Jackie Chan was his first beginning on movies and martial arts. So I think it's Bruce Lee inspiring him, and everybody knows Jackie Chan how big it is, big star he is. I
Yeah,
like it too.
and funny enough, with the Jackie Chan connection, I read somewhere like a little trivia fact that Bruce Lee accidentally like hit Jackie Chan in the face with the pole like during filming a sequence.
Really?
Yeah.
And Bruce Lee was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, I'm going to cast you in every single one of my movies moving forward." And then Bruce Lee suddenly,
You must have hit
dies
him
and can't
really
do that.
hard.
Oh yeah.
It's like really hard.
That's wild. But yeah, what did you think of the movie, Jonathan?
It had been a while since I had seen it. I could definitely see the influences of everything and the impact of the actual movie itself. I was slightly underwhelmed, I guess, overall in terms of the totality, but you have to put it in context of what came after and the influence it actually had. So it's kind of hard you have to get nuanced, I think, for your overall evaluation of the movie itself. But to me, comparing immediately, like Bloodsport, I don't know, it's a cheesy level. They're both cheesy in their own rights, but like Bloodsport is like the jam.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like the jam for me. But anyway, Enter the Dragon, yes. I
Yeah.
did like the gloves.
Uh-huh.
Bruce Lee, it felt very UFC-like, and I think they actually fashioned the Pride gloves after them. I think you were saying this week as well.
I love from the opening just opening shots, like you have that that kind of camera zoom in on the face and things like that. It's very like Quentin Tarantino definitely got inspired by these kind of Hong Kong film techniques and things like that. Thought that was a lot of fun. And apparently Bruce Lee, he choreographed the whole movie. Like he was the fight choreographer, obviously for this film. So I think he did a spectacular job in that.
So it's interesting
excellent.
hearing that, because if you see the very first time we see Bruce Lee fight in this movie, he wins his fight with an armbar.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're looking to highlight kung fu, interesting choice to win your first match with an armbar, which Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
I saw that right. I'm like, he's doing Jiu-Jitsu. This guy's a fraud.
You're as a fraud yourself in your own karate. Like, how did you feel about it?
I was actually I was looking for some of the jiu-jitsu because we have our black belt and experts here to join us. So I was like, is there going to be any kind of like Brazilian jiu-jitsu in these movies? Bloodsport, not so much. But
I saw a rear naked choke with Bolo, but
okay.
it was locked. So he was only grabbing the neck, and the other hand like he didn't lock it. But I saw a little bit, not too much. But it was cool in the like Bloodsport. There was a different martial art. You can realize there was kickboxers, boxing, Muay Thai, karate, and then you can, if you understand fighting styles, you can understand the difference between every fighter that was showing up in every round. So that was cool.
What did you think of Bruce's armbar?
The Bruce Lee armbar?
Yeah, how was the technique?
Yeah, it was good. Too easy, like was so fast, so they have to tap you rarely. So
you saying he was a wimp? Yeah, he tapped out too early.
Yeah.
I mean, the choreography in the movie was over the top, I guess, on purpose, right? I mean,
it was outrageous.
I mean, because none of the fight scenes were realistic. I mean, even towards the end when he's on the island and they're wanting, I forget the guy's name, the main villain,
Han.
Clawhand.
Han. Yeah.
And he's like, get him, kill him.
Yeah.
And they still come one by one.
Yeah.
Like they're like especially lining up to get him. And just everybody get in there at once. You can get him.
Yeah.
You know, why are you waiting? Why are you taking your turns to get your licks in?
It reminded me of like a Nintendo, like original NES, like video game that you're fighting one person at a time, like literally Kung Fu. And it's like 2D, so you got to fight this one person. And once you get past them, you get to the next person. It reminded me of that.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't get 2 on 1.
Yeah, and all of those henchmen they just get taken out with one kick or one punch.
Oh, yeah. That's what I've always said this on this podcast. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I was saying like how much easier it was in the 70s and 80s to like beat somebody up. One punch, one kick, you're done. And in the 50s, it was even worse. It was just a pow. Like you're not even touching it. Pow, you're done. That's it. It's amazing. Now you have like 4,000 kicks that is required to put somebody out. But it was choreographed.
Yeah, but more than that, I think like Enter the Dragon is like what is the philosophy of Bruce Lee, what he think, how he trained, the whole quotes that he say around the movie. More than the fighting part, that's the cool part for sure. But it's like the quotes that he say in every time in every time in the movie, you know. So that makes you think. that's a good mentor. You know how he think, how his lifestyle, all the stuff. You know, so that's a
Yeah,
real
there's a,
part.
yeah, I agree with that. There's definitely like that Bruce Lee philosophizing and talking about, it's not just beating the next guy up. There's an art to it. One of the quotes that I liked at the beginning of the film was, "Don't think, feel. It's like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory." And you don't get that a lot in like super big action movies. This kind of like deep quoted philosophy that goes with it. I really like that as well.
He should have been. I mean, he was a cult leader, like to be honest. But like, if he were like a proper cult leader, Bruce Lee, boy, I mean, he'd have all the white women after him. I mean, it would be wild, right? It'd be just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
I have a question. I had a question. It's escaping me. Oh, there's no audio in this, right? Like recorded audio.
Yeah,
It was
it's
all in post production.
they recorded the whole movie without sound, and then they added it in post production, which is what a lot of Hong Kong movies did at the time. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell
Yeah.
a lot of it was dubbed in.
And not a lot of spoken words either.
Yeah, yeah.
Compared to other movies, it was. I think I looked it up. It was like 7,000 or 8,000 total words.
Yeah.
For the whole movie, compared to another movie with something about 20,000 words.
Yeah.
I have a question? Did they count as a word?
That's a good point. There was a lot of that.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, something.
But this basically, I mean, it's basically a James Bond movie, Enter the Dragon, right?
Yeah,
With martial arts. It's like a spy James Bond. You have your like evil Dr. No Han kind of villain. But I mean, you got to love a villain that can change different hands, to a claw, to a bear claw, to a blade. Like that's just, I mean.
I mean, this was actually, I have a question for all of you, like, because I thought this is brilliant. I mean, it's James Bond-esque, and I probably should have asked this in advance, but like, if I had an interchangeable hand, this goes back to many episodes, like, I would want a grappling hook. Like, what would you, if you could have an interchangeable hand, or like whatever that hand would be, like, what would you want? You can go fucking crazy with this, like the Avengers and shit. Think outside the box. But Steven, what are your thoughts? What would you have as a hand? Face of your hand.
A never-ending ice cream cone. Just keep eating it.
That's pretty
good. Okinawa martial arts.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
What about you guys?
Yeah.
What do you think?
One of those multi-tool, the Leathermans.
Oh yeah, that's a good
just
move.
Like a digital Leatherman, which is like screwdriver, bottle opener.
That's a good one too.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah,
that's wise. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just hilarious though. Like he goes and literally breaks the glass at the end of the movie for the last fight scene to actually put on that, like, was it fork, the Wolverine
blade? Yeah.
But I like it because it's like for when you see Bruce Lee with the whole scratches, it looks so cool, badass
on his stomach,
on the stomach. So I think that was the purpose of the glove with the knife, all this stuff. So you see the cuts of Bruce Lee looking a badass. I'm fucking.
Oh yeah, it's iconic, like blood on the stomach with the scratches and everything like that. Amazing stuff. Are you guys scared of snakes? Is snakes like a big fear for you guys?
Not at all. I used to have a snake when I was a kid.
So
oh yeah?
Yeah, until I had my sister take care of it. I went away on vacation, and she was too lazy to go buy live fish for it. It was a small snake, so it would eat fish. So she started feeding it dead fish, the ones I had left for her that died. So she was moving it so it would think it was alive. So I came home, my fish was just belly up with like a brown spot on its stomach where the fish decomposed. She denied ever doing it.
Of course.
I wouldn't say I have a close affiliation with fish. If I fish with snakes, I'm not a big fan, but I wouldn't say I'm scared of them. If I did see an anaconda in real life, I'd be fucking freaked. But like small snakes, no, they don't really scare me.
Would you let them touch you?
Anaconda? Fuck
no.
I pick up snakes like that if I see them out, but I'm not a fan. I don't trust reptiles in general. Like alligators.
Oh yeah, alligators.
I don't trust wildlife. Like I'm a hunter. Like I don't like those people that I see are like trying to feed deer or feeding an elk. Or I saw a recent video of somebody trying to feed a bear.
Yeah,
and a grizzly bear. when I see those videos, I'm like, you have no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Is that the one where the bear lunged at him right before the video cut?
Yeah.
I saw
He's
that
right
one.
outside his car. Like, oh, look at the bear. Anthropomorph. I saw him in this video Disney created.
Yeah.
Paddington, and then like you're dead. So I think reptiles are even, they don't care about you, and therefore they will eat you. So big creatures I stay away from. Small snakes, they're not going to bother.
Yeah, big snakes, no thanks. But I did like his spy kind of like throwing the snake in and just sitting there and waiting.
It was an Austin Powers move, right?
It was an Austin Powers move. It was great.
That was an Austin Powers move, right? Like literally, I felt like it was almost just satire at that point.
But it's original, so it can't be. You know what I mean? Like it was.
I'm gonna have to go back to Hong Kong movies to evaluate this, because when I was watching it, I was like, "Is this that original? Is it?" You know what I mean?
It's original for I guess for the time and for the American audience's eyes. They'd never seen anything like it.
That's fair.
So
the whiteies,
the white people,
I'll have to say and even you see the influence, the very direct influence in terms of quotations, at least, of boards don't hit back. When Bolo said that, he also said was bricks don't hit back in Bloodsport. And I was
it was basically almost copy.
Actually, the dialogue of Bolo is virtually identical to Enter the Dragon of Bloodsport.
I think it's the same character, right?
It's the same.
It's just a little later. But honestly, like, that line is terrific. I mean, that's probably my favorite quote. Like, boards don't hit. Like, yeah, you think you're tough, but fuck that board. That's what I think.
I know very little about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Do you guys like have boards that breaking contests, or like you guys get big things of ice and break that, or light bricks on fire? Come on, I want to see some of that.
We break bones only. Break bones.
Oh, break bones. Okay.
Put asleep people. That's the key.
Got it. Okay, so
sometimes people do power sounds like, hey. We have one student that make power sound. All depends. I like the professor of my professor is like called soluso. Normally in judo, they do some sounds when you do a takedown, like hip, hip. Soluso in Portuguese means like hip, hip, hip,
I don't know.
hip up.
I don't know.
Hip bump?
No. When you
Andy would know better than me.
Oh, hiccup.
Oh, hiccup.
So that means hiccup means soluso. So that's the nickname. Normally in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu back home, everybody have a nickname. Everybody have nickname. Like whatever nickname the professor occur that you keep with that nickname
forever.
Your career. Yeah.
So what's your nickname?
Here's more like respectful. After respect, don't make fun of nobody. So all good. My nickname is Sifu. That means professor or masters. Different way to say it. I saw in Enter the Dragon they have a word to say like teacher. No, it wasn't Bloodsport, that one. She hands, something like that. She hand.
I missed it.
Yeah,
me too.
That's the way to say professor but it wasn't Bloodsport. It wasn't in Enter the Dragon.
Have you guys broken bones in BJJ?
I have not.
Okay.
I've come close. My ankle got twisted out pretty bad. But, but to go back to your question about jiu-jitsu and breaking stuff, no, but in reference to Anaconda, that's more along what we do. It's squeezing and folding, like really violent origami with the other person's body.
Violent origami. Wow.
You're trying to shape them and fold them in ways that they don't want to go, right? Or choking them like an anaconda. So
that's interesting.
Been choked out?
Been choked out? No. That's not one of my pastimes, pleasurable pastimes. No.
Never pastimes either.
No. But I bet you have, John. I think I've seen videos of you being choked out.
Yeah, by both of these guys. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
I wish you were here. Like, you haven't been choked out to feel it. Maybe we can apply some pressure.
Oh, shit. So we're going to put you to sleep. And then we wake you up. I saw like Craig Jones put it to sleep to Alex Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Live
on his podcast.
He never been asleep or never been choking before. Craig Jones put him to sleep and he was like, that was so funny. That's on YouTube. You can watch it. So
I'm going to check that out.
For a long time to get put out. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast,
With
begging
Eddie
Eddie Bravo to put him out, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do it, no.
Yeah,
and finally, Craig Jones did it, and you got to watch the clip. He just wakes up, he has no clue. He's like, what happened? Did you do it? He's like, yeah, you took a nap.
Did you do it? If you don't remember, yes. The answer is yes. I mean, we can show you how to apply some methods so you can choke yourself out and then masturbate in your own feces.
Yeah, that's that is a thing.
Coming to OnlyFans.
Oh my gosh.
Steven's butthole.
Another fun fact about Enter the Dragon. Apparently, fights broke out on set between the stuntmen and extras because they were hired, and there were rival families of different triads. So they just hired a bunch of different people, and there was fights breaking out on set.
That's wild. My favorite. What was your favorite? Maybe you have a favorite fight. My favorite fight was Han and Williams fighting, and like the birds are flying in the air. Like it's literally like anime almost to some extent. Like doves are flying out the window. Like they're doing like things that shouldn't be happening in like a small enclosed room. And then they go through like a paper wall, and the people are getting high, and it's like completely new in like the 70s. I'm like, they're just chilling, smoking weed. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is a video game right now. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. I mean, he basically says the line, William says the line, like, you straight out of a comic book, man. Yeah. And then the fight was basically a comic book fight.
My favorite, though.
My assumption was opium.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry.
I assumed opium, just Hong Kong.
That would have made a lot more sense than the fact that, like, nobody's caring about anything. We're all in a room full of...
They're all cracking up. He's getting his head bashed in. Girls are just laughing. That was a good
I like that fight, but I also like the fight that was on the beach between Bruce Lee and the guy with the scar on his face. Like anybody with the scar down his eye.
Kano. That's why I mean that Mortal Kombat got Kano. Oh, yeah.
I mean, even the fight on the beach, they had that same kind of fight in the Mortal Kombat movie. Again, inspired by this film, I'm sure. But yeah, Bruce Lee, like he doesn't even get a scratch on him. He's just basically kick, punch, done.
I mean, that's why he's a cult hero. I liked how, the zoom in on the faces. That is very Tarantino-esque. It reminds me a lot of Kurosawa, Akira Kurosawa, and Ron. Of like, and also a lot of his other films of how he like focuses on things and zooms in quickly. Big fan of that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too.
It can be done a little too much, to be fair. Like by the end of the movie, you're like, okay, we get it. Like a big scene is about to happen. He's getting very serious, Bruce. Look at him go. But I mean, it makes it feel like it's actually a cartoon, which I think the effect here is that.
Yeah. I think, I mean, there was going to be probably more of these Enter the Dragon films. Like this was probably going to spawn something like a James Bond franchise if Bruce Lee was able to, stayed alive. But I mean, I enjoyed this film a lot. It was a good watch for me.
Yeah, it was fun. Let me ask. I mean, I just thought like the crazy woman in the lair, Han's lair, with just like going nuts. I was just thinking, of course, like an Asian dude would want some white women in a lair, like that would be my go-to as well. Just put the white women down there. Let them go crazy.
Yeah, it was, and one just staring off into the distance. They were clearly like heavily medicated or something like that. Something was going on. Opium, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Never done that.
I'll have to point out, I had an ex-girlfriend that wanted to smoke opium with me, and I was like, I think we should break up. I think this is it. Yeah, like, how did you even get opium? I don't know what's going on, but I think I'm going to have to leave.
That's where you draw the line.
Your sister knows her, too.
Interesting.
Like you don't get any chances to smoke opium. That's not one of those drugs that comes up a lot. Like Quaaludes, like somebody offers you one, you gotta try at least once.
Fair.
You don't want to offend somebody if they procured opium.
No, maybe I didn't want to smoke opium with her. But I will say that the score at the very end of the movie was fantastic. Just the music itself and the ending to some extent as well. It was a little cheesy, but fantastic.
Yeah, apparently the producers of the film were eating at a Hong Kong restaurant, and it was like all mirrors in the restaurant. And they're like, "Hey, what if we do this in the movie?" But it actually worked out really well. Great idea, great inspiration, and it plays well into the themes of like the you face the the mirror image or the imaginary foe and breaks the mirrors and things like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Really good stuff.
Good stuff that first time watches for all three of you. It's fun.
Yeah, but Bloodsport, no. It's like burned into my brain now.
We've all seen Bloodsport, correct?
Oh, yes,
Before this,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Why is that? Why have we all seen Bloodsport and multiple times, and no Enter the Dragon?
Cult classic. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know why it's a classic, but it is.
Wow.
How much difference are in years?
73 to 88. I want to say. So 1973 is Enter the Dragon, correct?
Yeah, 1973.
Yeah, and then 88.
So 15
yeah, 15 years.
Yeah, it's I think
generational
thing?
thing?
Generation things.
Yeah.
Also, Van Damme, right?
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It's like story, good martial artist, though handsome too,
That's fair.
So it's like more popular than Bruce Lee, that was like foreign for, of course, Van Damme too, but for Van Damme looks more like an American, and Bruce Lee like for sure Asian, but
But Bruce Lee sounds more American than Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, that's true.
It's funny you say American because they actually spent a significant amount of time making Jean-Claude Van Damme look more American for this movie,
it looks like,
so that it could be popular with the whiteys.
True.
Which is interesting. But anyway, I'll go through the background behind Bloodsport, which is on my computer over yonder. 92 minutes. It's called Bloodsport. It's directed by Newt Arnold, who also did Hands of a Stranger and Bloodthirst. The guy was clearly into the blood at the moment, or weird things. Year 1988, rated R. It's an action film. Rotten Tomatoes has a score of 48% with a $2 million budget and $50 million in the box office. I'm surprised that Enter the Dragon had 400, by the way. Like, I'm not surprised by this, but 400 in comparison is pretty wild. But with that said, I had no idea of the actual backstory behind Bloodsport.
About Dukes?
A bit about being real. I love this movie way more than when I first, before, I don't know, last week, I would say. This is hilarious. And I don't know if there's a book or a documentary about, is that how you say it, Dukes? Frank Dukes?
Yeah, Dukes.
Yeah, the guy corrects me in the movie. He says, put up your Dukes.
Oh, that's right. I want to know more about this guy because I just learned about him in the last 2 days. But anyway, it's about a U.S. soldier, Frank Dukes, who's played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, has come to Hong Kong to be accepted into the Kumite, a highly secretive and extremely violent martial arts competition. While trying to gain access into the underground world of clandestine fighters, he has to avoid military officers who consider him to be AWOL. After enduring a difficult training and beginning a romance with journalist Janice Kent, Frank is given the opportunity to fight. But can he survive? I don't know, can he? And so, Frank is a real person. He's still alive. He's a Canadian-born martial artist. And I don't want to downtrodden his name of any capacity. But allegedly, this is a real-life 1975 story that he had told various people that got put into the movie Bloodsport. And so it actually came out that he went through 60, so this single elimination Kumite that actually happened to be in the Bahamas allegedly, and he went through a 60 round fight system, and eventually, of course, he won a sword for winning this Kumite. The problem with that is if you actually do the math of 60 people in the derivations of actually going in, there's not enough people on Earth to actually make this competition actually exist if you just keep going up the funnel. So there are the holes in his story, to say the least, but I really
want to... They're gigantic.
Yeah.
His military record came into question.
Yeah, he had never lived abroad. He never, but he said his explanation for everything I find interesting, and that he's CIA. Of course, that wouldn't be public knowledge that they would address. But what are your thoughts? Did you know about Frank in his real life?
Here's the thing, because I haven't seen this movie in a while, but
watch it. Karate.
Right. But that final blurt at the end of the movie that this was based on a true story, blah blah blah. I immediately got up my phone. I was like, wow, how the hell did I not know about this guy or whatever like that? And then I do go down the rabbit hole, and he's either the best at manifesting whatever dreams he has, or he's the biggest con man that on the planet. And I think it's a little bit of both, right? He definitely didn't do these tournaments and go around the
maybe
world.
he did some tournaments where he fought his friends and then he built it up in his brain when they invited more neighbors over, and then maybe he like won one, lost one. I don't know, and then he just built it up in his head. I think he did some sort of tournament.
He's delusional.
He has delusions of grandeur for sure, but like he does have a martial arts background, and there are videos of him who looks like he knows some technique. Like he's not like he's not a scrub. He's certainly better than me. Did he chew the kumite in the Bahamas? Get a sword? Probably not. But anyway, there's another aspect to the story that I love that I'll get to at the very end. But that's the story. And when's the last time each of you have seen Bloodsport?
So before preparing for today, it had been not that long, maybe a couple of years. I mean, if it's on TV, at any point, nothing else. The channel stops, and wherever it's on, I watch the rest of it always. So I mean,
it's a channel stopper for sure.
Yeah, once every few years, I'll catch it on Bravo or whatever channel I'm on. I'm like, oh, that's what we're watching. And we just go through the movie. I wanted to ask. You mentioned this one only grossed $50 million.
Yeah.
What was the rating on Enter the Dragon? Was it also R?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good question.
Based, even though it's
because I think that R rating hurt it.
Really?
I mean, what? It wouldn't get an R rating today.
Yeah, no.
I mean, based on just on martial arts violence, we wouldn't get an R.
Yeah, Enter the Dragon was rated R as well.
Oh, okay. Wow. So that goes out my theory. I thought maybe the R rating was the difference.
I think the money. How much was the box office for Enter the Dragon like initially when it was released?
It was.
Because you're saying for the fact is 400, and that's probably
right. Basically, in today's dollars, what it made in the first, because the run times were longer back in the movie would be in there for like 8 months. Yeah. Today's dollars, it was like 400 million, 500 million, something like that.
Yeah, I have no argument to debate this thing. Yeah.
It was a huge hit, and I think it was like one of those things. Like, you remember when like Heath Ledger died and like The Dark Knight came out, and that like they just boosted the movie even more. It was the same kind of thing with Bruce Lee passing away.
So maybe if you die, this podcast will actually become big.
That's it. Yeah, I'd rather just get choked out. Let's just do that instead.
We can make that happen. We can fly. Yeah. We can fly here.
I bet.
But anyway, have you guys, either of you, been in like a competition similar to the Kumite, or you, Steven? Been in a competition where it's not necessarily like 60%. Like, what's the most competitions you've had in a day?
My professor Soluso, he fought in Mexico. They have like a Grand Prix. He fought like he have to fight like 4 or 5 fights straight. Like, you finish one, the other person in the other bracket finish his fight, and like a bracket, like a MMA bracket. That's so crazy, fighting like the same day, like with like 4 or 5 fights. MMA fights. Wow. Yeah. That's how they do it back in the days too. Like, I seen this guy with a mustache, I forget the name. Oh, the American guy.
I have his face. I know who you're
talking. Chuck Norris.
No.
Don.
Don. Yeah.
Fry.
Yeah. Don. Yeah. Dan Fry.
Dan Fry. Yeah. He said the same thing. I saw a quote about that. He said like, you're tough enough. You go to the hospital, and then you go to the after party after like 4 or 5
stitches on your head.
Yeah, that's so cool. So that how back in the days, I think all these movies inspired to the organization that built MMA fights to be like that, like Enter the Dragon or Bloodsport, to build that time of the same concept. And if you can realize, like MMA nowadays, it's a unified both sport. Like, for example, in Enter the Dragon, the MMA gloves that Bruce Lee have at the beginning of the fight, and connecting with Bloodsport is the different different type of martial artists, like somebody do karate, judo, capoeira, or kickboxing, Muay Thai. So I think the unified is where is UFC right now.
That's fair.
Yeah. What about monkey fu?
Oh, that's crazy though.
I want to learn that.
Completely made up. Has to be.
You don't know. You don't know. Like, could be an African like type of fighting style. Or you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's drunken, karate and things like that.
Crazy.
Who knows?
It might be controversial, but I think Bloodsport did more for the popularity of martial arts in America than Enter the Dragon did. And maybe Enter the Dragon paved the way for Bloodsport. But I mean, it's 88. I was 8 years old. I don't know a single one of my friends that didn't watch this movie. We all tried the split with the chairs. We all thought that we could fight after watching this movie. You know, and me with my little background at that point was really like I'm going to be the next Van Damme. I mean, I think this movie really inspired a whole generation of karate schools and taekwondo schools to open up.
1,000%. This is one of my questions I actually had. Like, have you ever tried the split?
Absolutely. Failed miserably.
The answer is clearly yes.
Don't work for me neither.
Have you tried the split, Steven? I'm sure you.
I've tried, and I'm the least flexible person alive. I can't do it. No.
Did you actually try? Have you ever tried blindfolding yourself and sparring with somebody just to see what would happen, or even with like pool noodles? You know?
No, but I roll with my eyes closed.
Wow!
That was my question for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Do you guys like blindfold each other and go at it on the mat?
A friend of mine that is blind. He lost his vision with glaucoma.
Oh wow!
So we did a class for him. So everybody trained with the eyes closed.
That's awesome.
Eye closed. We banned
that's really cool.
So honor him, you know. So how we start the fights, everybody have to get each other having a grip.
Yeah, that would have been.
And then we rolling like that. And somebody, of course, like a ref, like around the mat, looking that nobody hit each other or something like that. But it was real cool. So it's honor about him. He's a black belt, still competing and all the stuff.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Florida.
I mean, I think it's the one martial art out of all of them that vision is probably the least important.
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, many times mid-roll, I'll just close my eyes, especially if I'm uncomfortable or if somebody's on top of me.
Yeah.
What am I going to stare into, somebody else's chest? I just close my eyes and just use, feel my way out.
Yeah, that mother's milk position. I'm just like, just close your eyes. You don't, it's like you're claustrophobic, you know?
True.
Yeah, I'll go back to the point of like Bloodsport actually being a kind of, to me, it was more influential as well. But like, this is a hot take. 3 ninjas actually, because I was already in that zone of like martial arts.
Tum yeah.
Addicted to it, but
I remember
ninjas,
that.
like set me into like ninja world. So I think I was like 10 years old or 9 years old or something like that at the time. I don't know what happened to me watching Steven Seagal flicks, watching Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then like that whole martial arts. I don't even know what to call it, but I loved it. I was starting to collect like ninja stars and getting like the ninja magazine, and I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking ninja after this. That lasted for until I realized that I wasn't gonna get any chicks that way. But nonetheless, I went into biking. But did you collect anything? Did you think you were gonna become a ninja in any way, shape, or form? We'll start with you, Karate Man.
I collected Ninja Turtles and things like that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, what is it? Colt, Tum Tum, and what's the other one? 3 Ninjas. Anyways,
you even remember?
Yeah, those were my jams, and then my gateway into like the blood sports and things like that. Because, and then I wanted to take karate, but I didn't collect any ninja stars or anything like that. I just the Ninja Turtles.
But you know how to use nunchucks.
I do. You want a demonstration?
Yeah, I would love to see how well.
Let's go.
Just a quick. I'm gonna turn the camera here.
Yeah, I had ninja stars too. I used to try to sharpen them up.
Let's go. Have the stance though.
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
You clearly. He doesn't have his headphones on.
Did you get that?
Yeah, clearly.
That's good, man.
You clearly have been practicing.
Well, yeah, I mean, practice makes me a little bit better, but I still have it.
Take back any ridicule of the Okinawan, martial art.
American take karate.
Yeah, right. That's my protection here.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks. But yeah, I feel like I could now compete in an underground fighting ring.
A kumite. How many people do you think you could take in a kumite in a row?
Oh,
Let's say, how many 12-year-olds could you beat up in a row?
12-year-olds I could do pretty good, but once I got to like the sumo wrestler, I would be done.
You're White Lightning. Remember your nickname as a kid?
Yeah, it wasn't just white. It was just lightning. There was no white lightning behind it. It was just lightning.
I don't know, 12-year-old with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background?
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to do too many of you. No,
that's true.
Wrestling.
for wrestling.
Yeah. If any of these kids have training, then I'm done for.
So I have to ask you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Because I should have stopped at the very beginning because I also only call you John. I didn't realize you prefer Jonathan.
Because I took took my wife's last name, and therefore I didn't like the name John Lee. I used to go by John my whole life, and then I didn't like John Lee. It just sounded weird. Too short.
Like, that's cool though. It sounds like Bruce Lee, like John Lee.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm a white dude, so I was like, I'm gonna go by Jonathan Lee.
So
Jonathan, I don't care.
I have to ask you.
Yeah.
You keep saying Kumite.
Yeah.
It's Kumite.
Oh,
Kumite. Sorry.
Okay. I thought I missed it.
10 push-ups. 10 push-ups.
Because I heard Kumite.
Yeah.
Maybe he.
I'm fucking up all the time.
The movie guy. So maybe I'm misspeaking.
I'm also illiterate, so the Kumite. Sorry.
I have a thing about like Jean-Claude Van Damme as a kid, they go and try and steal the sword and then he goes and returns it or whatever like that. And then he goes into training as a kid, but then it goes to him as an adult and he's still a fucking white belt. Like what?
Well, that's a good point.
What happened? Like he just wasn't training that hard or what?
I don't think so. The training was crazy.
Well, I think
it was pretty wild.
The whole point was that he was not training him. He was using him to train his son.
That's fair.
That's true, yeah.
So the focus wasn't on promoting him.
Right.
The focus was not even on real. He was just absorbing by default. But the real focus, at least from my take, was that he was just there to be his uki for the kid, his training partner. So the son had right. Isn't that the word uki?
I don't know.
What's in jiu-jitsu? The sparring partner, like your training partner.
That sounds awesome though, uki.
I could be making.
I don't
it
know.
Up.
I've never heard it. So.
Not a Suzuki, but maybe I'm making it up. I'll fact check myself later. But yeah, so I think that's probably why he was still a white belt because he never. It wasn't until his son died that he said, "Okay, listen, I want to honor you.
Yeah.
Take me on." And then he's all right. I guess now I got no other choice.
Yeah.
I have a point here that I'm gonna look this movie up. Like I actually do want to legitimately know more information about it, but there's I'm gonna pronounce this poorly. Kumite, the Kowloon, the walled city. You know about this city in Hong Kong? I have a book about it upstairs, and I didn't realize this existed until maybe like 8 or so years ago. It basically was like a heroin den or opium den that branched off into this completely in real life, like completely siloed city that was unregulated by Hong Kong police, by anything. It had its own like pharmacies, it had its own like hospitals, it had its own whatever, and then everything was underground, and it's a real life situation, and just built up and up and up and up. I'll show you the pictures upstairs, but it's wild. It's like multiple stories, and I think I don't remember the exact acreage that it's on, but it's a very small section, maybe 5 acres, something like that.
Do you think it had an underground fight tournament in that walled city?
It clearly had an underground fight
tournament.
Yeah, but this movie Bloodsport was actually shot, and it's one of a handful of movies that actually was shot in the walled city. But the backstory behind that is wild. I actually want to rewatch the movie because of that, because I have been super interested in the city to begin with. They tore it down because it was like it got too big for
underground fighting is always gonna be famous, maybe in high school always gonna be an underground fight, like in Thailand they do Muay Thai, and like you drinking beers in the same bar, people are fighting, like they have a little ring.
Oh yeah.
It's like that underground fight's always gonna be like. Me in high school, I have to learn how to fight because we go in like after school, everybody wants to fight, so it's like always gonna be like that type of underground.
It's human nature, basically. It's like it's built into our DNA.
True. Like find the weakest guy, just try to win. That's how the people, like the bullies, go for it. That's why you have to learn how to fight. That's very important. Learn how to fight. Especially nowadays that everybody have a little bit of knowledge, especially with the UFC, all this stuff. Learn a little bit of everything. You should know a little bit of everything at the same time. A little bit of striking, a little bit of grappling. It's not like you're gonna be a world champion, but at least like have a little bit of knowledge. How it's more than that. It's like Bruce Lee say, like when you feel in danger, like read that, like the sense. How we say it, like
sense, yeah.
Yeah, be ready for any situation. Like don't have to go for fighting, like fight stand, but like analyze the environment. Like, okay, I'm in danger or something's gonna happen here. It's like about a feeling more than like go, okay, I'm gonna fight with you, you know. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to Enter the Dragon, I like that style of like what he said. My style, you can't call it the art of fighting without fighting. Like he just basically he has his own way of the confrontation and things like that. But what do you think would be like in an underground tournament like Bloodsport, the 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 best style of fighting to win the tournament?
Like
I think we've gone through this before.
I think Muay Thai could be like if you say one specific martial art.
Yeah, like you have the sumo guy. Would that be the best? Would it be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And you could only stick to that one fighting style. You can't, mix them up or anything like that.
I think would probably be right.
I think BJJ. The fact that you can take somebody down. And they
It's
have no idea what
it's
they're
the
going
thing
to
in
do.
the community, right? It's no weight class. You got me?
Yeah.
So it's like if you go for a sumo guy and you want to wrestle him up, you're like even like Roy Gracie show us like how effective is jiu-jitsu, but at least if Royce Gracie fight standing up, keep that distance. He make some shots, he couldn't make it. He kept that distance till he wait for the mistake. Of course, jiu-jitsu helps you a lot. Like the best thing is like a little bit of striking, a little bit of grappling.
There's this account on Instagram that I see quite a bit come up, and it's this short guy that's like has a sign that says, "I'll give you $100 if you can take me down, like pin me down." Right. And he goes against these big guys and things like that, and he's just like he's an animal, and he can just like pin anybody down. So it's pretty cool how like size in that regard sometimes doesn't always matter.
Well, first of all, was a collegiate wrestler, and the people he's going against are not.
None of
them are. So that's like you like going out in the street and being like, you want to race? It's like yeah, clearly you're gonna win. Like what is this? What are we talking about? It's silly.
Of course, like if you like only grappling, their size don't matter, you know.
Right.
Even, like if you're fighting if I have to fight with a bigger guy than me, of course I'm gonna use jiu-jitsu too. But at least I know how to have my hands up, how to fight standing up for any situation. At least as blocking, learn how to block, prevent the punch, duck under to find my takedown. Because if I go straight to the legs, it's no way. It's like you have to be really, really smart. Learn how to fight in both ways. Like jiu-jitsu is about grappling, fighting on the floor, but at least you have to learn how to protect yourself standing up to find the takedown. If you don't practice takedown, man, sorry, man. Like, how are you gonna put the people on the person on the ground? At least they kick and they failed. Okay, I win.
Yeah.
But you should know a little bit of everything. Well, that's cool.
I mean, it's interesting though that Kumite was at Bloodsport. The Kumite in Bloodsport was in '88, and there was no jiu-jitsu represented.
Yeah,
I mean that has to have been an intentional choice by somebody.
True.
Directing the movie.
Good. That's a good point.
True.
I mean, they have drunken mud, bunker style, no jiu-jitsu. It's like
there's a bunch of random
martial arts.
Somebody really must have not liked jiu-jitsu.
We're doing stand up.
The monkey did a single leg, I think, so they tried to go for a single leg.
And I think even like jiu-jitsu is a really good like for film because it has that tension of like, is this person going to tap out or not? How much, can this person sustain the pain and things like that? So it lends itself well.
Yes.
Yeah.
John Wick used a lot of jiu-jitsu.
There's a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu now.
There's a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Interesting.
Black belt.
John Wick?
Well, not John Wick.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think it's purple or brown belt. I think so, yeah.
I have to ask a question. In both movies, I mean, they do this like pretty repeatedly, and I've seen it in like video games nonstop. How many times do you think you could stand on your back leg and kick without going back down and repeatedly kick somebody's head hard? Bruce Lee. I mean, it seems like everyone that's like the thing in the 70s and 80s. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do understand.
You're kicking like you're standing up and then just kicking.
Show a kick.
Like Chun-Li. There you go.
Like, Why is this a thing? Like the power behind that is like nothing. It's anti like Muay Thai. You're not gonna.
And your opponent's just standing there.
And there's like getting hit left and right. Like what's happening? This is ridiculous.
It looks cool,
Anyway,
but it's not
it
practical.
Does look cool, but it's not powerful if you've ever taken a Muay
When
Thai
Taekwondo,
class.
that type of kick, right?
Yeah, those side kicks, repetitive, but I mean, you wouldn't train to do more than 1 or 2 kicks in a row, like Van Damme does.
Oh,
he played like 7 in a row or something. And he
Yeah.
did the spinning ones too, right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
It wasn't just a straight kick. I think he was doing the spinning back turn around like a pinwheel kick, and he landed. Then he jumped, another pinwheel kick, landed, jumped it. He did like 3 or 4 of those in that
bad
fight
for the
scene.
knees, I would imagine.
He make it for the people with the split.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did you know that he did his trademark split 7 times for the movie? 7 times.
That's it. It felt like more.
Yeah, it did feel like more. But I mean, the most iconic one is splits down and uppercut to the nuts, right?
Oh,
like
yes. I mean that
a little dirty.
is just.
I mean, that's not the dirtiest thing in the movie. Like throwing some
What did he throw?
blind powder into your opponent's eye. I think you get disqualified.
Were there real rules though? I mean, it's the Kumite.
I mean, no, Bolo Young killed like two people, right?
Like,
So
are there real rules? I mean, are these rules that you're creating, Stephen?
I just think like blinding your opponent, that you got to kind of call it, be like, hey, this is not a fair fight. What are we doing here? That's just me. If I was running an underground fighting ring, I would have a couple of rules in place.
Some honor, no nut shots.
Yeah, nut shots, I guess. I mean, in the first UFC, you were able to do nut shots, headbutts.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's videos of them just like punching them in the nuts.
I mean, that's like one of the most basic ground rules, even as a child would fight. No nut shots. You kick your opponent, even as a kid, you kick your friend in the nuts during a fight. And
you
get your ass beat.
And everybody's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you hit him in the balls. That's why you won." It's just an automatic
Yeah, that's pretty weak though. I'll point out the thing I was gonna say. First of all, Jean-Claude Van Damme can run like properly. Like he can run.
Yeah, he can.
Fast, and his form is legitimately good as former runners, or you're a former runner.
Is that from the beach scene when he's running? Is that
okay? Yeah. And I think he has a street scene as well where he's running.
When he's running away from the.
But I'm just gonna read this because I copied and pasted this, or I'll try to remember this. The sword in real life on the character of Dukes, and when he won the Kumite, he got a sword for winning, right? He lost it allegedly, and he was questioned on like where it went, if you won this big solid thing and you're the man. And his story was this: after all of that story to get there, of it never having to exist to begin with, and to double down to provide proof that it exists, his response was he sold it in a failed attempt to buy the freedom of a boat of orphans whom he later rescued from pirates.
Wow.
And I was like, I got to know more about this man. Like he is interested.
I think it's the rule of like, if you're going to lie, you might as well make it the biggest lie you can.
I mean, you went to like mid to high level lie to like like you're in space. Like you went immediately the trajectory of your life. What's next? Like where do you go next? Aliens inserted. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what is next. Literally, that's how his sword was misplaced. Orphans that were taken by pirates, and he was saving them. Like what is happening? Love the man, but nonetheless, inspired. I mean, this inspired me much more than Enter the Dragon, overwhelmingly though.
Oh yeah. Like you see Bloodsport, you want to train straight. Like Enter the Dragon is like cool action movie to watch. Like, okay, they do cool stuff, but Bloodsport is okay, I want to train, I want to fight, like that.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going to happen next, who the next fighter is going to be, like what their style is going to be, how are they going to match up against each other, and that's kind of what makes it. I mean, it's basically a video game in a movie form, right? It's just so fun to watch.
We're going to have a very difficult time. We do this every 25 episodes. We do a Golden Glasses Award for the show. We're going to have a very difficult time choosing for this season the award for what movie would be great as a video game, because both these are terrific.
Yeah, both of them would be fantastic.
I don't know what I would rather. What would you rather play? Enter the Dragon in a video game form or Bloodsport?
Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
There's more storyline behind it.
There's more plot. There's more
Evil
plot.
Island. There's like
story.
I think there's way
a
more
layer.
story.
It's like a James Bond.
Exactly.
Like Bloodsport is like Mortal Kombat almost. Like not the same way, or UFC.
It would basically be like Mortal Kombat.
Choose your character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
Choose your character. You go up the ladder of different fights and things like that.
The main character is Bruce Lee, and you are Bruce Lee playing around, being like a spy.
There's more plot. There's more story.
Outside like Kumite, there's no drama outside
That's
of that.
fair.
You have the female reporter. Could have done without her character.
You got the two government agents with Forrest Whitaker and the other guy trying to stop him.
Forrest Whitaker, every single time Forrest Whitaker shows up in these movies that I completely forget, and I'm like, Forrest fucking Whitaker is here. What is happening?
I know. I wrote that down with exclamation points. I was like, how is he in this movie?
Yeah.
But their two characters together with like every time they were in the scene, it reminded me of like a Double Mint commercial. Yeah. Like just two goofy characters like trying to catch up to him, and then he's running in the streets and playing with them and hanging off the palm trees, waving at them, and like it was a little too cheesy.
And then they're there watching the final fight, cheering along, like go. Yeah, but it just the cheese adds to it, I think.
But I think it's like I always say this on this podcast. I like when movies don't go the mediocre cheese; they go all the way.
All in.
This is all the way cheese, so it makes it actually more tolerable. I would say. I like the cheese level of this.
I wonder how that factors into your rankings this week.
So yeah, we might as well cut to the chase. So we are doing a whole new rankings. We actually have a website that's being launched probably on the drop of this episode next week. With that being said, we used to rank things. We rank things on a standard you guys can see where we evaluate it. If this ever opens up. On a perspective of about 6 different thresholds or inputs. It's not going to open the tabs here, but nonetheless.
Best performance, best best quote, best screenplay, best directing. We kind of give it a score 0 to 100.
Best audio. Here we go. Screenplay, editing, score, quote, performance, and director. They're all weighted by a particular amount, and then we score them in kind of a Rotten Tomatoes number where it's like 80, like 0 to 100. But we both wear glasses, and this is called Scene Weekly. It used to be called Mise en Scene Weekly. But we are doing a rating system on our website now that we're going to have glasses between a 0 to 5 scale with a half glass monocle, if you will, between. So basically, we are now kind of effectively going to be letterboxed to some extent. So do you want to go first? Enter the Dragon Man of your rating for your best of 5 glass.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think I'm going to start kind of evaluating these movies a little differently now. Just in sense of like, a lot of the times, like we go strictly like movie based, like how good is this movie? But I also kind of want to dig into like how much I liked the movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
In a sense that like this, it could be not a really good movie per se on so many different metrics, but like, I mean, did I enjoy like sitting down and watching this? It changes things. So Enter the Dragon, iconic classic film. I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm giving that 3 glasses.
So I'm the same. 3 glasses for Enter the Dragon. I think though the enjoyability of Bloodsport was more, even though I actually rated it lower. I gave it 2.5. But I think the magnitude of what Enter the Dragon was and is still to this day, and you can see it by the amount of money that it's gotten and the influence of Bruce Lee. And even though nobody has seen it here, I gave it a 2.5 for Bloodsport. But I would way rather watch Bloodsport a million times over.
I would put Bloodsport on again right now.
Yeah.
And watch it.
It's kind of like My Nothing But Trouble to some extent, where it's like, this is not going to be... Is it the best performance of all time by any of the characters? No, of course not. But it's fucking good theater. It's good cinema.
Yeah, sometimes you got to have a strong cheesy movie factor, and it just makes it that much more enjoyable. So
yeah.
Well, cool. Oh, Bloodsport, 1.5 glasses.
Oh, snap! Ouch! Wow.
Again, I enjoyed it, but fitting it into like the scale of like some of the other movies that we have,
Yeah.
it's hard to justify
Yeah.
A higher score than that.
That's tough.
Also, I think like Bloodsport, it's not the same, but it's kind of related with Kickboxer. That is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Van Damme.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you can feel that it's kind of not the same, but it's kind of the same film, like energy on the films, you know. So
I haven't seen Kickboxer. I need to check that out. Is that with Jean-Claude Van Damme as well?
yeah.
So is your rating, your glass rating here on this one, is it just martial arts based or just all movies?
So it's all on the same scale. So like the performance of the actors, like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like if you were to like rank that on the scale, so I ranked it at 76 or for Into the Dragon, 75 for Bloodsport, which I felt like both were not great, you know. But this is on a very objective scale. Like if you were to evaluate it on a critic scale, if you were to say like what triggered your heartstrings more, Bloodsport, and I'd give it like a 95. But I wouldn't give the whole movie a 95 objectively, if that makes sense.
I think the word performance is telling in this because it's not, we're not saying best acting, it's best performance. And like the performance of Bruce Lee in this movie was fucking incredible. And same with Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I think we have to kind of take that into account as well.
Sure. Yeah. But the quotes, I would say much less on Bloodsport.
I mean, they basically stole a quote from Enter the Dragon and put it into Bloodsport. So
all-time greatest quote. Okay, USA.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna say that one once a month.
That's true.
That is pretty great.
Definitely my favorite quote of the movie.
That's great.
True.
But that's it. It's a wrap. Thank you guys. Appreciate
you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks again for joining us on this week's podcast. We really appreciate it.
How many times I bought a nunchucks to prep for this? Actually, how much did you actually practice?
Probably like maybe 3.5 minutes. Like not.
That's
It comes
good.
back. It comes back pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not too bad.
Well,
I'm going to keep them though for self-defense.
Yeah.
Under the pillow.
I mean, he lives in LA now. He just moved actually. recently.
You might need something bigger than nunchucks.
Yeah, maybe. What's up for next week, Jonathan? What are we doing?
I have no idea. What do we have? Oh, I think we have divorce episodes, don't we?
Oh, yeah, I think we're going to talk about divorce.
Oh, yeah.
Failing marriages.
Dinner with Friends. That's your movie, and I have The Squid and the Whale. So the best divorce movies. Misery. Yeah. And
Misery.
Talk about getting old.
I love that. Oh, yeah.
His birthday, his 40th is coming up.
Oh.
We're doing.
Yeah, I'm about to hit that milestone, man.
Looking for Click or like Benjamin.
Over the Hill movies. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks.
Hey, that's a good one. See you, Steven.
All right.
See you.
Till next time.
Take it easy.
See you guys. Thank you.
Everybody was